Thank you. I heard this story the other day about this Catholic priest that was performing a marriage ceremony, and they invited him to the reception. And while he was at the reception, he had a little bit too much wine. And so when he was driving home, he got stopped by the state trooper. State trooper told him, he says, hey, Father, he says, you know why I pulled you over? He says, no, sir. He says, well, you were sort of weaving in and out of traffic and not staying in your lane and everything. And he said, have you been drinking? And he says, no, sir. He said, well, what's that bottle I see on your seat there? He said, oh, my bottle of water? He said, that looks like a half-empty bottle of wine to me. Priest picks it up and says, well, my Lord, he did it again. Hey, these three preachers were in a rowboat fishing on a Saturday.
Careful.
And as they were sitting there fishing, they said, you know what? So people come to us all the time, you know, and they want us to pray for them and everything. He says, but who do the preachers go to? He said, I got an idea. He says, each one of us, why don't we confess something that we all do that's maybe not quite right, and then at the end we can pray for each other, you know? So that sounds good. The guy said, well, you go first. He says, well, you know, I've actually got a gambling problem. He says, I go down to the casinos and I play that one-armed bandit, and man, I've wasted money and rent and everything, and all the payments and the food bill. And he says, I just really got a problem with my gambling. You know? So what about you, the next guy? He said, well, you know, I've got a problem. He says, I got to admit, I cheated on my income tax. And he said, that was really bad. He said, I'm really sorry for it. And he said, I hope your brethren will pray for me, you know, too. And so I said, well, okay. And they're waiting for that third guy, and he's just sitting there. And he says, come on now, we told him what we got a problem with. He said, how about you? He said, well, okay. He said, actually, I got a problem with gossiping, and I can't wait to get off this boat. Hey, I need a little bit of help on this next song, okay? One more, I gotta tell you this one. This nun gets into this Cabbie's car in New York City, and so she's in the back seat, you know, and she kept noticing that the cab driver kept staring at her in his rearview mirror. And she says, son, have you got a problem? And he says, no, sister. He says, well, what is it? You can tell me. He says, well, he says, I can't help but noticing how beautiful you are, even for a nun. You know? She says, well, thank you, I think. He says, is that it? He says, well, you know what? I've always wanted to kiss a nun. He said, that's been on my bucket list, you know. And she said, well, I've never had a request like that. And he says, could I just a little kiss? And she says, well, under two conditions. Number one, you've got to be Catholic. And number two, you've got to be single. Okay? He says, well, I'm Catholic. He said, I'm single. She says, well, okay. So he stops the car, gets out, gives her a kiss, and he loved it. You know. So he gets back in the driver's seat. He's driving along and keeps looking at her. Says, son, is everything still okay? He says, well, sister, I lied. Said, I'm not Catholic, and I'm not single. I'm married. She says, well, that's all right, son. She says, my name is Kevin, and I'm on my way to a Halloween party.